You cried and didn't know why. Your chest tightened, your breath caught, your hands trembled, but your mind, blank. No explanation, no logic, only feeling. Only the sacred, invisible signals of your soul memory, rising like tides, flooding your body before your thoughts could catch up. This isn't random. This isn't weakness. This is soul-level perception. In a world obsessed with logic, we've forgotten that the body knows first. Before your mind interprets, your heart responds. Before words arrive, your spirit whispers. Goosebumps, silent tears. A sudden ache in your chest when you hear a song. These are not moods. They're echoes from your divine past, fragments of your soul awakening. But why does your body react to someone you've never met, as if your heart remembers them? Why do we feel drawn or repelled for no logical reason? Could it be that our spiritual connection runs deeper than memory, deeper than time? And if so, what's really happening beneath the surface of your everyday life? In this video, you'll uncover the hidden wisdom behind these sacred responses. Why your body reacts before your mind understands how soul connections are often sensed, not seen. The divine truth behind the tears, the intuition, the unexplainable feelings, and 3 powerful, gentle ways to reconnect with the truest version of yourself, the one your body already remembers. If you've ever felt emotions you couldn't name or connections you couldn't explain, you are not alone. Comment, "I've felt this too," if your heart recognizes these signs. Or share the moment your body knew, long before your mind did. Like, comment, subscribe, not just for more content, but to join a community of souls remembering themselves, one sacred heartbeat at a time. Your body remembers what your mind cannot yet speak. Long before we comprehend a feeling, before we form a thought or name an emotion, the body speaks. Through trembling hands, through sudden stillness, through a tear you didn't invite. Through an ache that has no wound. This is not mere sensitivity. This is sacred intelligence. Divine design. The body knows first. In Psalm 139 it is written, "You created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb." We were not born as blank slates. We arrived carrying soul memory, encoded deep in our breath, our bones, our blood. This memory isn't stored in our brain, but in our soma, in our heartbeat, in the way our skin shivers at the truth. Your soul has seen, loved, lost, and known before. And sometimes the only part of you that remembers is your body. You might wake up one day with a deep sadness, though nothing has gone wrong. Or perhaps you walk into a room and feel a chill, not from cold, but from something unspoken. Maybe you hear a piece of music and your heart breaks open, as if mourning something it's never seen. This is not weakness. This is not overreaction. This is soul awakening. Your body is not betraying you. It is translating. Translating the vibrations of your soul connection, the echoes of sacred contracts, the remnants of spiritual truth that your conscious mind has not yet caught up to. The skin prickles, the chest tightens, the eyes well up. The breath deepens. These are not random reactions, they are holy signals. The voice of the Spirit speaking through flesh. Romans 8:26 says, "The Spirit intercedes for us through wordless groans." These groans are not always heard with ears. They're felt in your spine, in your stomach, in the way your shoulders suddenly drop when you're near someone your soul trusts. Have you ever met someone, and without a single word, something inside you just knew? You didn't analyze. You didn't weigh pros and cons. Your body reacted. Your heart raced or softened. Your guard fell or rose. This is the body reading what the soul remembers. Sometimes your soul meets a soul it once loved, feared, lost, or promised something too long ago, and your body is the first to recognize it. Let me tell you a story. A woman once shared that she walked past a stranger on a quiet city street, and suddenly her eyes welled with tears. She didn't know why. She didn't know him. But something in her heart cried out. She felt her legs go weak. She turned the corner and collapsed on a bench, trembling. It wasn't love, she said, but it was something holy. It was like grief and longing and remembering all at once, as if my soul touched something ancient. She never saw him again. But that moment changed her. It awakened something she didn't know was asleep. This is soul-level perception. This is what happens when the soul speaks through the body. Sometimes you cry, not from sadness, but because something inside you recognizes something bigger than words. A person, a place, a truth. Other times you are pulled away from someone, repelled for no logical reason, but your gut is loud, insistent. And no matter how your mind argues, your inner knowing will not rest. These are signs that your soul is stirring, that you are awakening. You may be experiencing a soul awakening if you've noticed any of the following. You cry easily, not out of weakness, but because emotions feel vast, mysterious, and sacred. You meet someone new and feel an immediate pull or resistance without explanation. You hear music and your heart aches in a way you can't explain. You feel homesick, but not for a place, for a feeling, a presence, a state of being. You feel like you are two people, one who is living the life and one who is watching, gently guiding from a deeper place. These experiences aren't coincidence. They are soul signals. They are the rising of your sacred memory, the whisper of something ancient within you, calling you to remember who you truly are. It is not uncommon to feel unsettled when this happens. Our modern world is obsessed with logic, reason, clarity, but the soul doesn't speak in logic. It speaks in symbols, sensations, synchronicities. And often the body is the sacred ground where the soul plants its first seeds of truth. So what can we do when these moments arrive? When the body speaks and the mind lags behind? First, we must honor the signal. Don't rush to explain or fix it. Sit with it. Breathe into it. Write what you feel, even if it doesn't make sense. I feel warm, but I'm crying. I feel safe with this stranger. I don't know why, but I miss someone I've never met. These are not confusions. They are the beginnings of revelation. There is deep healing in recognizing that your soul has always been guiding you through your body. That before the thoughts arrive, the body is already in prayer, already in remembrance, already in motion toward truth. The lesson here is simple, yet radical. Trust your body. Trust your soul. Even when your mind is confused, your soul is never lost. When we stop dismissing what we feel simply because we can't explain it, a new world opens. A spiritual world. One where signs, sensations, and soul connections become part of your daily reality. Not magic, not fantasy, but the most ancient truth there is. You are more than your thoughts. You are more than what can be seen. You are divine memory in motion. So if your body has ever spoken louder than your logic, if your skin has ever reacted to a presence your eyes couldn't place, if your soul has ever cried out through your tears, your trembling, your stillness, comment below, "My body remembers." You are not alone. You are awakening. And this is only the beginning. Because next, we'll explore what these moments truly mean, and how to recognize the exact signs of a soul awakening when they arrive, not just in rare moments, but in your everyday life. In glances, in silence, in feelings you were taught to ignore. but your soul is now asking you to honor. There are moments when someone walks into your life, quietly, unexpectedly, and your entire body shifts. Your breath stills, your chest tightens or expands, something ancient within you rises, uninvited but undeniable. It's not attraction in the usual sense. It's not logic. It's not timing. It's a sacred recognition, a knowing without knowing. You may have met them for the first time, but your soul remembers. These are not random feelings. These are not shallow infatuations. This is the body reacting to a spiritual connection, the heart responding to a sacred contract written long before this lifetime. When you feel an overwhelming emotional response towards someone you barely know, or perhaps don't know at all, that is your soul speaking. We've been taught to dismiss what cannot be explained, to suppress what doesn't fit into neat categories of logic or reason. But soul memory doesn't operate within the mind's framework. It's encoded in the heart, the gut, the body's silent language. Perhaps you've met someone who did absolutely nothing to warrant such deep emotion. And yet, the first time they looked at you, something inside unraveled, or ignited, or ached in the most sacred way. You couldn't sleep that night, not because you were dreaming about them, but because something inside you was stirring. This is not fantasy. This is soul awakening through relationship. Sometimes your soul collides with another, not for romance, not for friendship, not even for a long-term connection, but for awakening. These souls show up as catalysts, messengers, mirrors, and their very presence pulls up the parts of you that have been asleep, forgotten, exiled. You may not have words for the connection, but your body reacts. Your heart beats differently. Your mind quiets or races. You feel seen or exposed, or deeply safe for no clear reason. The woman who once said, "I feel like I've known him forever," was not being poetic. She was being honest. She wasn't talking about time. She was talking about timelessness, about soul memory, about divine timing meeting divine recognition. And just as there are souls who awaken us through love, there are others who do so through pain. Someone you feel drawn to, but every interaction unravels you. Someone you want to love, but the connection burns, doesn't soothe. Someone who triggers you not because they're harmful, but because they touch the oldest wounds, the ones you've carried across lifetimes. This, too, is sacred. Not all spiritual connections are meant to last. Some arrive not to stay, but to awaken. It's not about the outcome. It's about what they activate. They show up like lightning in your life, fast, bright, blinding, and leave behind the ashes from which your soul begins again. To feel this kind of connection is a gift, a challenge, a calling. It's confusing only if you try to explain it. But the truth is, it was never meant to be explained. The mind asks, "Why do I feel this way?" But the soul whispers, "Just feel." This is where healing begins, not in the explanation, but in the acceptance, not in trying to name it, but in honoring it. What if the greatest wisdom lies not in understanding, but in listening? In the Gospel of Luke, it is said that Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. She didn't run to explain. She didn't rush to define. She held it silently, reverently. That is how we are called to hold these soul connections, with reverence, with wonder, with open hands. You don't need to know why you felt what you felt. You don't need to define what they meant to you. You only need to honor that they meant something, that they moved you, that the encounter cracked something open inside you that was begging to be seen. Let me tell you something few will dare say out loud. You can love someone with your whole soul, and still not be meant to walk this life with them. You can feel a connection so powerful that it shatters your understanding of time, identity, and logic, and still not end up by their side. That doesn't mean it wasn't real. It means it was holy. It served its divine purpose. These soul-deep connections are often misunderstood. People call them infatuations, projections, delusions. But those who felt them, truly felt them, know otherwise. You know it wasn't lust when their presence brought tears instead of desire. You know it wasn't obsession when their absence felt like losing a part of yourself you didn't know existed. This is the language of the soul, and the soul is not interested in surface-level stories. It is here for truth. So if you've ever felt something profound with someone who shouldn't have meant anything to you, you're not crazy. You're not alone. Comment below, "My soul remembered." Because when you give voice to that knowing, you help others remember too. And in this remembering, there is healing. You start to see that life isn't about controlling every connection, but about receiving them, with open hearts and listening bodies. You stop asking, "What does this mean?" and start asking, "What is this trying to awaken in me?" And in that shift, you go from confusion to clarity, from longing to listening. This is the path of soul-level awareness. It requires stillness, reverence, and the courage to stop explaining what can only be experienced. Not everything sacred comes with a label. Not every truth needs proof. Some of the most divine awakenings begin with nothing but a whisper and a tear. You're not too sensitive. You're not overthinking it. You are simply being reintroduced to the language of your soul, the one your body never forgot. Let this be your reminder. You're allowed to feel deeply, even when you don't understand it. You're allowed to honor what your heart knows, even if your mind cannot yet comprehend. Because in the silence between thought and understanding, God is speaking. And now that you've heard the whisper, the next step is to learn how to respond, not with overthinking, but with sacred attention. We'll continue by learning how to tune into that voice, how to reconnect with the truest version of yourself, the one who's been here all along, listening, waiting, gently awakening. Ion of you, whole, holy, and unbroken, waiting beneath the noise, the real you. The soul before the performance, the truth before the masks. This version doesn't speak in titles or achievements. It speaks in stillness, in deep knowing, in the soft ache that rises when you hear words like, "Come home." Reconnecting with this true self, the divine self, is not about becoming something new. It is about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Here are 3 sacred ways to return to that knowing. To listen again to the language of your soul, to your soul memory, to your body's divine wisdom, and meet the you that has been whispering all along. 1. Write your feelings without judgment. Capture the sacred whispers. The soul does not speak in full sentences. It speaks in fragments, in images, in emotional surges that don't always make sense. And that is okay. Healing begins not when we understand every feeling, but when we create space for it to exist without needing permission. Take a notebook, a quiet moment, and write not to explain, but to reveal. Don't worry about grammar. Don't chase clarity. Write like the heart speaks. I feel full but alone. I miss someone I've never met. There's a longing in my chest that has no name. This kind of writing is not performance, it's sacred translation. It's the soul's way of unfolding in front of your eyes. A woman once shared that after years of spiritual confusion, she began writing short phrases every night. I feel strange today. I saw someone and my heart stung. My body is tired, but my spirit is loud. Over time, she began to see patterns, not of logic, but of truth. She began to recognize the voice of her soul awakening, not as something to understand, but something to honor. This is where healing begins, not in the answers, but in the permission to speak. Your journal is not a place for productivity. It's a temple. A safe place where the soul connection you've ignored for so long can finally rise. And when you do this daily, even for 5 minutes, your body begins to trust that it can send you signals. Your spirit begins to trust that you're listening. If this resonates, write in the comments, "I'm starting to listen." Let your healing be witnessed. 2. Breathe and whisper the simplest prayer. I'm here. In Genesis, when God called out to Adam, "Where are you?" It wasn't because God didn't know. It was an invitation, a gentle call into presence, into honesty, into being found. And the most powerful prayer you can offer, especially when you don't understand what you're feeling, is this: I don't know what this is, but I am here. Place your hand over your heart, close your eyes, breathe in slowly, and whisper, I am here. I am listening. I don't yet understand, but I'm not running. This moment, this sacred breath, becomes a doorway between the seen and the unseen, between the world and your soul memory, between performance and truth. You don't need to chant mantras in foreign languages or sit for hours in silence. You just need to show up. The body is the altar. The breath is the offering. The stillness is the invitation. One man once said that during a panic attack, instead of trying to fix it, he sat down, placed his hand on his chest, and whispered over and over, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. The panic didn't vanish, but something inside him softened. He felt witnessed, not by others, but by his soul. That moment became a turning point in his healing. This is how you build spiritual connection with the real you, not through fixing, but through faithful presence. If you've ever felt overwhelmed and chose to pause instead of run, even just once, you've already begun this work. That choice matters. That moment heals. Comment, I choose to stay. Let others know they are not alone in this practice. 3. Read Psalm 139 like a letter written just for you. Every single day. When the world is loud, when your identity feels shaken, when you can't tell the difference between intuition and fear, return to the words that remember you when you forget yourself. Psalm 139 is not just scripture, it is soul reminder. A sacred mirror, a love letter from the divine to the parts of you that still think they are unworthy, too sensitive, too confused to be whole. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You perceive my thoughts from afar. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Each line is a hand reaching into your shadows and saying, even here, you are seen. Even now, you are held. Reading this psalm daily is not just a spiritual act. It's a soul alignment practice. It trains your heart to recognize truth. It trains your nervous system to remember safety. It trains your body to trust that its tears, its tension, its trembling are not weaknesses. They are invitations to the sacred. One woman shared that every morning, before checking her phone, she would read Psalm 139 aloud to herself. At first it felt forced, but slowly she began to weep. Not out of sadness, but because it was the first time in years she allowed someone, Patin, even God, to truly see her. Those verses became her anchor, her mirror, her way home. There is a reason this psalm ends with, "Search me, God, and know my heart. Lead me in the way everlasting." Because when we allow ourselves to be known, we begin to know ourselves, and in that knowing, the healing begins. Let your sacred practice be simple, consistent, embodied. Write what your soul feels, even when it makes no sense. Breathe and offer presence, even when clarity is absent. Read and receive words that remind you of your origin, your goodness, your belonging. You are not too lost to be found. You are not too broken to be beautiful. You are not too late to begin again. These small acts, sacred journaling, present breathing, divine remembering, are how you return. They are how you reawaken your soul awareness, deepen your spiritual connection, and rebuild your trust in the sacred language of your body. Let this be your invitation, not to strive, but to surrender. Not to perform, but to be still. Not to fix, but to feel. And in doing so, you reconnect with the one you've been searching for all along, your truest self. Next, we step into the final remembering, the full picture, the sacred why. Why your body has carried these unspoken truths. Why your emotions have been louder than reason. Why your soul keeps knocking, gently, faithfully, at the door of your heart. This isn't just healing, it's homecoming. Maybe you were never lost, just slowly remembering. Maybe the ache you carry, the quiet longing in your chest, the tears that rise without a name, are not signs of weakness, but evidence that your soul is waking up. You've just walked through a journey, through emotion, memory, and the soft, sacred language your body speaks when your mind can't keep up. And maybe now you see it a little clearer, that your body is not just a vessel, but a voice. That your feelings are not flaws, but soul signals. That your deep emotional reactions, your sacred longing, your intuitive pulls toward people or moments that made no sense, were never meant to make sense to the mind. They were meant to wake the spirit. You weren't imagining it, the connection you felt, the heaviness you carried, the lightness that came when you finally allowed yourself to cry. These were echoes of your soul memory, flickers of the spiritual connection you've carried since before time shaped your name. Maybe you felt like a stranger in this world, too sensitive, too soft, too silent. But what if you weren't too much? What if you were just attuned to something deeper than most people dare to feel? This entire time your body has been whispering, "You belong." You've always belonged. And your soul, patient and ancient, has been waiting for you to remember the sound of your own truth. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to keep listening. In the quiet, in the breath, in the trembling moments when tears come and you don't even know why. That is your soul recognizing something real. That is your body saying, "Here, this matters." Don't ignore those moments. They are holy. They are invitations to return to the truest part of you, the part that existed before fear, before doubt, before noise. You've made it here. Through silence, through shadow, through sacred remembering, and now you know your tears are sacred. Your longing is sacred. Your story, even the unspoken parts, is sacred. Don't hold back from sharing what moved in you today. Someone else might be waiting for your story to awaken something in theirs. Comment below, "I feel it too." Or if a part of this message lit something inside you, tell us what it was. Let your voice be a mirror for someone else's soul. Let this space be a place where the unheard can finally speak. If this video stirred something in your spirit, if it gave language to the ache in your chest, or reminded you that you're not alone in what you feel, then maybe it wasn't just a video, maybe it was a homecoming. If it brought light to you in a dark season, If it met you like a soft hand on your shoulder, I invite you, gently with open hands, to offer a little energy back. A small act of kindness that helps this space continue. A gesture that says, yes, I want more of this in the world. Because every like, every subscribe, every share, every quiet act of support isn't just helping a creator. It's helping a community of soul-deep seekers find each other. Every moment you give helps create more space for truth, for light, for healing. This isn't just about content. It's about sacred connection, about building a space where people who feel deeply, who break easily, who long for something more, can come together and remember we are not alone. We are seen, we are felt, and we are rising. One quiet story at a time, one brave heart at a time, one moment of remembering at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for feeling deeply. Thank you for walking this sacred path with me, even in silence. If this resonated with you, share it. Pass the light along. If you want more, subscribe and stay close. This journey is just beginning. And if your heart feels called to help this light reach farther, your presence, your quiet support, is a gift beyond words. From the deepest place in my spirit, thank you with my whole heart.